What if I told you that the Roman philosopher Seneca held a secret technique, one so powerful that it could dissolve your anxiety in an instant? A method buried deep within his letters, yet never fully revealed to the masses. Today we're pulling back the curtain on this ancient wisdom, exposing a forbidden tool for mastering your mind. You won't find flashy gimmicks or quick fixes here. Instead, you'll uncover something far more potent, a timeless strategy, rooted in Stoic principles that demand discipline and self-mastery. By the end of this video, you'll understand how to wield Seneca's hidden weapon against fear and uncertainty, transforming not just how you think, but how you live. Are you ready to take control of what truly matters? Anxiety is a thief. It robs you of your peace, your focus, and your ability to act with clarity. But here's the brutal truth. Most people are too busy chasing external solutions, medications, distractions, validation from others, to realize that anxiety doesn't come from outside. It comes from within, from the stories you tell yourself, from the things you believe you can't control, but actually can. This was Seneca's great insight over 2,000 years ago. He didn't see anxiety as some insurmountable force. He saw it for what it really is, a failure of perspective. Now let me ask you something. When was the last time you stopped running from your fears and faced them head-on? Most will never do this because it requires courage, effort, and an unflinching look at their own weaknesses. And that's exactly why Seneca's technique has remained hidden. It demands more than most are willing to give. To understand this method, we need to step into the world of ancient Rome. Picture this: Seneca, one of history's sharpest minds, sitting in his villa overlooking the chaotic streets below. The Emperor Nero, a man whose erratic behavior could make anyone anxious, is breathing down his neck. Yet Seneca remains calm. How? Because he knew something about human nature that many still don't grasp today. Anxiety isn't caused by circumstances. It's caused by how you interpret those circumstances. The Stoics had a word for this: judgment. They believed that emotions like fear and worry aren't automatic responses to events. Instead, they're judgments we attach to those events. Lose your job. You might judge it as catastrophic. Get betrayed by someone close. You might label it unbearable. But these interpretations aren't facts, they're choices. And if they're choices, then they can be changed. Seneca took this idea further. He argued that the root of all anxiety lies in two toxic habits: dwelling on the past and obsessing over the future. Think about it. When you're stuck replaying old mistakes or dreading what's ahead, where does that leave you? Paralyzed, powerless, consumed by thoughts that serve no purpose other than to drain your energy. What if there was a way to break free from this cycle? A way not just to manage anxiety, but to annihilate it altogether? Here's the kicker. Seneca wasn't content with theory. His letters weren't written for academics or philosophers lounging around debating abstract ideas. No, he wrote for soldiers, politicians, merchants, people living chaotic lives who needed practical tools to survive. That's why his forbidden technique works. It's designed for action, not contemplation. But before I reveal it, you need to fully grasp the stakes. Anxiety isn't harmless. Left unchecked, it erodes your confidence, your relationships, your very sense of self. So now the question becomes, are you willing to confront it directly, or will you keep letting it control you? Let's dig deeper and uncover exactly how Seneca flipped the script on fear itself. Imagine standing at the edge of a cliff. The wind is howling, the ground beneath your feet feels unstable, and every instinct in your body screams at you to step back. Now ask yourself, what's making you afraid? Is it the height itself, or is it the thought of falling? Seneca would tell you it's the latter. The danger isn't real until it happens, and even then, the only thing you truly control is how you respond. This distinction between perception and reality is the foundation of his forbidden technique. Here's the raw truth. Anxiety thrives on imagination. It feeds off worst-case scenarios, exaggerations, and irrational fears. What if I lose everything? What if they reject me? What if I fail so badly that recovery becomes impossible? These questions aren't inquiries, they're traps. They pull you deeper into a spiral of dread without offering any solutions. And this is where Seneca drops the hammer. He forces you to confront these what-ifs, not as vague possibilities, but as concrete realities. The technique is simple yet profound. Premeditation of adversity. Seneca called it rehearsing misfortunes. Before you dismiss this as morbid or pessimistic, hear me out. Premeditation of adversity isn't about dwelling on negativity. It's about taking away its power. By deliberately visualizing the worst possible outcomes, you strip them of their ability to shock you. Fear loses its grip when you've already faced it head-on in your mind. Think of it like training for battle. A warrior doesn't wait for war to strike before preparing. He anticipates every move his enemy might make, practices counterattacks, and fortifies his defenses. In the same way, Seneca urges you to prepare for life's inevitable challenges by imagining them in vivid detail. What does failure look like? How does rejection feel? What happens if everything you hold dear slips through your fingers? Play out these scenarios, not to torture yourself, but to understand that survival is always an option. Let me give you an example. Picture someone who's terrified of public speaking. Their heart races, their palms sweat, their mind goes blank, just thinking about stepping onto that stage. Most people will avoid the situation entirely, hoping the fear will magically disappear. But Seneca would say, embrace it. Spend 10 minutes each day visualizing the absolute worst performance imaginable. Imagine forgetting your lines, tripping over your words, hearing the audience laugh or boo. Feel the humiliation, sit with it, then ask yourself, am I still breathing? Does my world end here? This process rewires your brain. Instead of seeing failure as catastrophic, you start to see it as survivable. You realize that no matter how bad things get, you'll find a way to endure. That's why premeditation of adversity is so powerful. It shifts your focus from prevention to resilience. It teaches you that pain is temporary and perspective is everything. But there's more to this method than meets the eye. While rehearsing misfortunes builds mental toughness, it also uncovers hidden opportunities. When you confront your fears directly, you begin to notice gaps in your preparation. Maybe the speaker realizes they need better notes or more practice. Perhaps the entrepreneur sees flaws in their business plan. Anxiety blinds us to solutions. Premeditation sharpens our vision. Still, some resist this approach because it feels unnatural. We're conditioned to chase positivity, to avoid anything uncomfortable. But Seneca knew better. He understood that growth comes not from running away from discomfort, but from leaning into it. Only by facing the storm can you learn to stand firm against it. Now, let's go deeper. Because while premeditation of adversity is transformative, it's only half the equation. There's another layer to this technique, one that reveals the true genius behind Seneca's philosophy. Let's take this further. Premeditation of adversity isn't just about preparing for the worst. It's about redefining your relationship with uncertainty. Anxiety festers in the unknown, thriving on questions you can't answer and outcomes you can't predict. But what if you could turn that uncertainty into clarity? What if, instead of fearing the storm, you learned to dance in the rain? Here's where Seneca introduces a subtle yet profound twist. Gratitude for misfortune. Yes, gratitude, not despair, for the challenges life throws at you. This is where most people stumble because it sounds counterintuitive. How can you be grateful for pain, loss, or failure? The answer lies in understanding that these experiences are not punishments, they're teachers. Every setback carries within it the seeds of growth, if you're willing to look for them. Consider this analogy. A blacksmith doesn't curse the fire that tempers his steel. He uses it to create something stronger. In the same way, Seneca urges you to view adversity not as an obstacle, but as an opportunity. When you rehearse misfortunes, you're not just bracing yourself for hardship, you're training yourself to extract value from it. You begin to see that every challenge has a lesson, every failure a gift wrapped in disguise. Take the story of Seneca himself. Exiled by Emperor Claudius under false pretenses, he found himself stripped of his wealth, status, and influence. Most would have crumbled under such circumstances, but not Seneca. He used his exile as a chance to reflect, write, and deepen his understanding of human nature. Later, when he returned to Rome and rose to prominence once again, he was no longer the same man. He had become wiser, more grounded, and unshakable. His suffering became his strength. This brings us to a critical insight. Anxiety stems from attachment. We cling to comfort, security, approval, things outside our control, and when they're threatened, we panic. Seneca's technique forces you to confront the impermanence of these attachments. By imagining their loss beforehand, you loosen their grip on your mind. You realize that even if everything falls apart, you'll still be standing. And paradoxically, this realization makes you less likely to lose those things in the first place. Why? Because detachment breeds focus. When you stop obsessing over outcomes, you free yourself to act with precision and purpose. But here's the real kicker. Premeditation of adversity isn't just a mental exercise, it's a moral one. It trains you to empathize with others who face similar struggles. When you've spent time contemplating poverty, illness, or betrayal, you develop compassion for those enduring them. You recognize that suffering is universal, and this shared humanity connects you to the world in a deeper way. Now let's address a common objection. Isn't this technique just inviting negativity into my life? Absolutely not. Negativity is passive. It consumes you without offering solutions. Premeditation of adversity is active. It equips you to handle whatever comes your way. It's the difference between hiding from a storm and building a shelter before it hits. One leaves you vulnerable, the other empowers you. And there's another layer to explore, one that transforms this ancient practice into a modern superpower. Anxiety often tricks us into believing we're alone in our struggles, that our fears are unique. But Seneca reminds us that misfortune is part of the human condition. Everyone suffers, everyone fails, everyone faces moments of doubt. By embracing this truth, you stop seeing yourself as a victim and start viewing yourself as a warrior, a fighter armed with the tools to overcome anything. Are you starting to see why this technique is so powerful? It's not just about conquering anxiety. It's about reclaiming your agency. It's about stepping into the arena of life fully prepared, fully present, and fully alive. Next, let's talk about how you can apply this wisdom in your daily life. Because knowledge without action is worthless. Now that you understand the theory behind Seneca's forbidden technique, let's get to work. How do you actually use premeditation of adversity in your life? The beauty of this method is its simplicity. It doesn't require any special tools, apps, or rituals. All it takes is intention and discipline. Here's how you can start implementing it today. The first step is to confront what scares you. Be brutally honest with yourself. What keeps you up at night? Is it financial instability, rejection, failure in your career or relationships? Write these fears down. Don't sugarcoat them or try to rationalize them away. Face them head-on. This act of naming your anxieties strips them of their power. You'll quickly realize that most of your fears are abstract, vague shadows lurking in the corners of your mind. Bringing them into the light makes them smaller. Once you've identified your fears, take each one and imagine the absolute worst outcome. Let's say you're worried about losing your job. Picture it vividly. No income, mounting bills, strained relationships, feelings of shame. Feel the weight of it all, but don't stop there. Ask yourself, what happens next? Could you downsize your lifestyle? Reach out to your network for support. Learn new skills to pivot into a different field. By mapping out the aftermath, you begin to see pathways forward. Fear loses its edge when you know survival is possible. This is where the magic happens. After visualizing the worst, shift your mindset. Ask yourself, what could I gain from this experience? Losing a job might force you to pursue a passion project you've been neglecting. A breakup might open the door to self-discovery and growth. Illness might teach you to prioritize health and relationships over fleeting distractions. Train yourself to find gratitude even in hardship. It won't eliminate the pain, but it will transform your perspective. Premeditation of adversity isn't just about mental preparation. It's also about practical readiness. If you're afraid of financial collapse, start building an emergency fund. If public speaking terrifies you, join a local Toastmasters group. Anticipating challenges allows you to fortify your defenses before they strike. Remember, the goal isn't to avoid misfortune, but to ensure you're equipped to handle it. Of course, applying this technique isn't always easy. Some people fall into the trap of obsessing over worst-case scenarios, turning premeditation into rumination. The key difference is action. Rumination keeps you stuck in fear. Premeditation propels you toward solutions. Another pitfall is underestimating your resilience. Many assume they wouldn't survive their imagined disasters, but humans are far stronger than we give ourselves credit for. Trust in your ability to adapt and endure. Finally, be patient with yourself. Anxiety didn't take root overnight, and neither will its antidote. Start small. Dedicate 5 minutes each day to rehearsing misfortunes. Over time, you'll notice a shift, not just in how you think, but in how you live. You'll walk through life with a quiet confidence, knowing that no matter what happens, you're prepared. So what have we uncovered today? Seneca's forbidden technique, premeditation of adversity, isn't just a philosophical exercise. It's a weapon, a tool to dismantle anxiety, reclaim control, and transform fear into fuel for growth. By confronting your worst fears head-on, you rob them of their power. By rehearsing misfortunes, you prepare yourself not only to survive, but to thrive in the face of life's inevitable storms. And by practicing gratitude for hardship, you unlock a deeper sense of resilience and purpose. But here's the ultimate question. Are you willing to do the work? Because this isn't about passive consumption, it's about active transformation. You can watch countless videos, read endless books, and still remain stuck if you don't take action. The choice is yours. Will you let anxiety dictate your life, or will you rise above it? If there's one thing I want you to take away from this video, it's this. You are stronger than you think. Every challenge you face is an opportunity to grow, every setback a lesson in disguise. Don't wait for the storm to hit. Start building your shelter now. And here's my call to action. Try this technique tonight. Sit down with a pen and paper, identify one fear that's holding you back, and visualize its worst possible outcome. Then ask yourself, what steps can I take today to prepare for it? Share your experience in the comments below. I'd love to hear how this ancient wisdom impacts your modern life. Remember, the Stoics didn't just teach us how to think, they taught us how to live. So go out there, embrace the chaos, and prove to yourself that no matter what happens, you've got what it takes to handle it. What's the worst-case scenario you're ready to conquer?